Hello again from my bright and sunny front porch here in Iowa. I do like the sun. It feels very warm out here, especially on a day like today where it has been blisteringly hot. I mean, not blisteringly, that's maybe a little bit, well, if you were out in it for a long time, but it was massive humidity and massive heat, really deadly combination, and that is not an exaggeration. People that would stay out in that for too long would risk suffering serious injury and harm. Today, on the other hand, though, the sun is out, it's shining, there's a nice little breeze, and the temperature is down, but more importantly, the humidity has been down. So it actually is rather pleasant day here in Iowa today. And so I can actually be out here on the front porch because on some of those other days, it's like a hot box. You know, those old prison movies where the prisoner gets punished by getting put in the box. That's kind of what it feels like out here on days like that where it's so hot and warm. It's because the sun just blasts right in the porch here. And so, yeah, it's not really where you want to be on those days. But today it's not bad. And here we are towards the end of the day. The sun is high in the sky. If I waited just a little bit longer, it would go down behind those trees next door, which, probably would have been smarter. But hey, I get to enjoy some fun in the sun. It's like getting a free tan. Well, I mean, tans are technically always free unless you pay for them in the little shop. But anyway, from the sun, they're always. I digress. So, I had a conversation with somebody recently that really kind of triggered a thought in my mind, and my babbling here is sort of indicative of that as well. And that is this notion of how much of the stuff that goes on in our heads, how much of the things that we think, how much of the things that we justify, we attribute to some inner personality, some inner individual. And by that I mean, you'll hear people talking about, well, I'm being goofy because I'm just giving voice to my inner child. I'm letting my inner child out, and I'm being more fun. What they're really saying is, I'm normally very very straight-laced, very stuck up, very, very rigid, and I'm letting myself just have some fun. I'm letting myself just enjoy, and so I'm letting out my inner child. Well, in that scenario, that poor inner child has been trapped, has been a prisoner inside a very dull prison cell. but still, the point is, I'm letting out that inner child. Then there are other times where people say, they're doing something artistic, and they say I'm letting out my inner artist, or they go do karaoke singing or something that I'm letting out my inner superstar, my inner singer, or they just do something completely off the wall, and they say I'm letting out my inner idiot. Whatever the case may be, there are different ways of completing that, different inner blah 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 whatever, and it's just so interesting how we tend to use that to explain away elements of our personality that are actually there. There's a part of me that's like, why do we do it? But then I think about myself, and I think, there are different times in my life where I feel like I was not really myself. I was who others around me expected me to be. I was the Paul they wanted, not necessarily who. Now, I've never completely been a fraud. I've never completely made up a persona, but there might just be parts of myself that I would hold back, or that I might mute down, or they're also when I was younger, and people still have trouble believing me now today when I tell them this, but I had substantial, massive inferiority complex issues. I had my self-esteem was rock bottom basement, and you even if you'd have known me back when I was younger in school and high school and everything, you might not have got that impression. Now, you might have if you're really paying attention, but you might not have got that impression because you'd say, oh no, you were always very outgoing. You were almost over the top with stuff and always being goofy and always telling jokes and always involved with stuff and acting. Yeah, but see, that was all a cover. That was all me overcompensating for where those weaknesses were. And so, those aspects, I wasn't just making up doing those things. I was doing those things because I did enjoy doing those things, but I may have overdid those things to overcompensate for where I had, deficiencies. there is. Now, and in the years since, in my maturing years, I have overcome at least some of that. But there is still the reality that all of us at different times, for whatever reason, we have denied a part of ourselves. It might be for legitimate reasons, because sometimes there's parts of ourselves that don't necessarily need to come out. But the reality is that we all have inner talents. We all have these inner thoughts, these inner wishes. I was going to say inner desires, and that kind of might lead down a path I'm not intending. but these passions that, and I don't mean inappropriate, I mean things that drive us, this inner fire to want to do stuff, and for whatever reason we hold back, we deny ourselves from doing that. That we make up all these, well, I can't do that because I don't have the money, I can't do that because I don't have the time, can't do that because of this, because of that, because of this restriction, well, I have these people depending on me here, I have this, whatever it may be, but we have built up this world around ourselves in which we say, I can't be me because of the situation around me, because I have an obligation to everybody else around me. Now, I will say this. It is important to honor obligations. It is important to look out for other people. And it is very important to honor your word. If you say, I'm going to be there for you, I'm going to help you, I'm going to do, I'm going to do this kind of role, I'm going to volunteer to do this kind of thing, I'm going to show up to help you with X, Y, Z, whatever, you better be there. You follow through on your word. That's what people should do. But the thing that I'm talking, I'm not talking about getting away with that stuff or putting that stuff away. I'm talking about when there's something that we really want to do. Like, for example, I had a friend of mine, Joanna Conant, sent me a messenger thing about an acting company, small Iowa acting company that was looking for an actor in their 50s or 60s who could sing and perform, and that they were doing auditions. I'm off the top of my head, I don't remember if it actually said what the production was, but they were looking for a person that, hello, 55, hello, and can sing and enjoy acting. And so I know why she sent it to me, because she's like, Paul, this sounds just like you, and I appreciate that, and I let her know that I appreciate that. But what I replied was, I would love to do something like that, but I can't because I have time restrictions, because of my work schedule, because while I am the boss and I get to choose a lot of my travel time, that doesn't mean that I get to choose a regular travel time. There are lots of times when, with a week's notice, I'm scheduling to run off to here or there or do stuff. It depends on if something comes up or if I have to go have meetings. It makes it tough to commit to something. If you're going to commit to something like doing a play, some kind of drama thing, there's lots of rehearsals, and then of course there's however long the duration of the performances are, and unfortunately my schedule is not regular enough that I can commit. So that is a restriction that is a hard restriction. It is not going to change. It is something that holds me back. But having said that, there are a lot of people who would see that and go, I would love to do something like that. I would really love to do something like that. But no, I just can't do that. I would never get accepted. Plus, I would just embarrass myself and make up all these excuses as to why they can't do this, even though their inner actor is there screaming, "Hey, let me out!" My sister Terry is a really great example, and I'm not trying to embarrass in any way. But she's always had a passion for wanting to do stuff like that as well. And a few years back here, she actually signed up and tried out and got in a production. I think she's done a couple of them now, 2 or 3. And so she's actually embracing and doing this thing that she had thought about doing, wanted to do, and just had never done, for legitimate reasons, but also for those inner restrictions, that she broke down those barriers and just said, I'm going to do it. And so she went and she did it, and good for her. Yeah. And so that's really what I want to get to here is we have all these inner things, and as I said, we tend to cite the inner child, the inner artist, the inner idiot, the inner politician, the inner whatever it may be. We want to credit that long dormant, hidden away, because we are then announcing that we want to do this thing that everybody around us, or most of the people around us, have no idea that we have this interest, because we've never let on that we had this interest. We've never given voice to this internal drive that we have, and shame on us. But I know again why it happens. It happens because we're afraid. We're afraid of the failure. We're like George McFly in Back to the Future. I just don't know if I could handle that kind of rejection. So I get it. Trust me, I get it. I really do. But my challenge to you all and to me all is to still look for those opportunities, to grab a hold of those things that those inner voices want to tell us to do. I didn't cite that one before. We have, there's that. I like the meme that says, all these inner voices, they can get a little confusing, but they have some really cool ideas. Then there's variations of that, but still, it's to listen. That inner voice that's talking to you is you. That's actually you trying to talk to you. That inner voice that's saying, hey, you should try this. You should give that a shot. You should go ahead and plunge into that. Go ahead and test the waters on that. And you sit there and you rationalize it. We think, no, I can't do that, and we make up all the excuses. We can come up with excuses left and right. But that inner voice, that's you talking to you, saying, go for it. Stop holding us back. Let us out. Let this inner whatever, let it out. And so, I'm going to give, because, when I started this episode, I was kind of rambling all over because, I had my inner comedian, or who I think is my inner comedian. I'll let you be the judge as to whether he really is a comedian. But really, think about this. Think about this. If we all just said, not dispense with the life we know, not turn our back on all that, but if we just really thought about what is that thing that I want to do? What is that thing that I've always dreamed about wanting to do, and it just doesn't go away. It's always there. It's always in the back. It's always there. And I just can't shake it, but I've just been too afraid to do it, or I've been too busy to do it, or whatever reason. What if we paused and said, what would it take for me to overcome that? Maybe instead of writing it off, I need to think about how can I make it happen? And then, once you figure out that plan, make it happen. And honestly, I would love to talk to somebody who has done this, or any of you who have done this, and we could do a whole episode about those kind of situations too, because I would love to spotlight people who did exactly what I'm describing, who said, you know what, this is what I want to do, and I finally did it. I pushed aside the barriers, and I did it. It doesn't matter whether it went well. It doesn't matter if you enjoyed it. Well, it does matter if you enjoyed it. Doesn't matter if it was well received. Doesn't matter if you're going to do it again. Doesn't matter. What matters is you did it. You overcame whatever the barrier was, and you did it. And I want to know about those stories, and I want to know how it made you feel. And then the follow-up to that is, and then what? What did you do then? Once you conquered that and you felt that, then what? Now, if you can't answer that question, if you've never had an experience where you could answer that train of thought that I just laid out, guess what? You still have time. Do it. Go for it. All right. With that, I've given you permission. Unleash the inner whatever. And then share your stories with me about it. With that, I'll see y'all next time. assuming I haven't blinded myself with the sunlight here. I'll see y'all next time from my front porch.